welcome to Storytime with HDThul. I am HDThul, and together we will be reading from my book, Henderson's Meat Wagon. We'll be reading Chapter 9 entitled The Wedding. Page 104 is where we will be starting today. And this will be my 14th video. So, if you are a new viewer and you just hit this video, well, you're late in the game and you got to go back to number 1. So, not that I don't want you to see this, I just want you to see the other ones before this, otherwise it won't make sense. And if you like what I'm reading to you, click like and subscribe. Also, I have my other books available on Amazon. Rita Buller and Her Heart of Desire. There's The Adventures of Bob and Larry, the time-traveling stoners. Bob and Larry go back to Nam. And also Richard Buller, Keeper of the Heart. And, of course, this one. Now, without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so, Chapter 9, The Wedding. And we're starting on page 104. And, alright. In the city park, Leonard needed the restroom. So he walked into a brick building marked public bathrooms. On one side of the building was marked Men's, just above a blue door. On the other side of the building was marked Woman's, just above a blue door. He walked into the man's side and walked in through the blue door. He walked up to the middle urinal when Bob Stoner and Larry Munchet walked in. Now, Bob was using the urinal on one side of Leonard. Larry was using the urinal on the other side. Leonard, who had only spoken to Bob and Larry over the phone, had not ever really met them in person, and therefore didn't realize who they were, since he didn't know what they actually looked like. Leonard was wearing a black tuxedo and a shiny black patent leather shoes. Bob had on jeans, a t-shirt, a black leather jacket, and brown leather boots. Urine was being shot into 3 urinals at the same time, as it seemed, and suddenly Larry said, "Hey, Bob!" Bob turned to face Larry, not quite finishing urinating as a stream of yellow pee was hitting Leonard's shoes, socks, and black tuxedo pants. "Hey, what's the idea?" "Oh, sorry, man." "Hey, Larry!" Larry turned sharply and was getting Leonard from the other side now. Leonard's face was turning red with anger as he was grunting, trying to maintain his temper. "What's up, Bob?" "Hey, Larry, I got this cool gig with this guy named, shit, man, I forgot his name, man." "Hey, I got one too, man." "Yeah, some guy named, Louis, Tony, Leonard," Leonard said sharply and angrily after he realized who these idiots were finally, still peeing as they were talking to each other. "Yeah, man, that's it." "Leonard. Hey, thanks, man," Bob said, sounding grateful. "Yeah, that would be me," Leonard said, sounding very annoyed by now. "Wait, you're Leonard?" Larry said, sounding surprised. "Yep, and you're pissing on my shoes." "Dude, someone just peed on your shoes," Bob said, sounding amazed and somewhat perplexed. "Do you think?" Leonard said sarcastically. "Looks like they're pretty wet, bro," Larry said, stating the obvious as he shook his penis off the excess pee, put it back in his pants, and zipped. and then turned to pace the door as he was beginning to walk out, and Bob soon followed as Leonard said, "Tell you what." "What's that?" Bob and Larry said almost instantaneously. "If you both do a good job tonight, I'll forget that this whole thing ever happened." "Wait, someone peed on you? Who peed on you?" "I'll get them for you. Hey, I got your back, man," Bob said. "Yes, someone peed on me. You peed on me." "I peed on you?" Larry said. "Yes, you peed on me." "Was it me, man?" Bob asked. "No, man, it was me, bro," Larry responded. "It was the both of you, you idiots." "Far out, man," both said at the same time as they were leaving the building, and Leonard scoffed and said, "Never mind." After Leonard's awkward run-in with Bob and Larry, he wet a paper towel and scrubbed vigorously to get the piss stain off his pants and shoes, unsuccessfully, but it will have to do. Then he walked out of the public restroom facility, and he looked to his left, and he noticed that there were cars and trucks coming into the parking lot of the city park, and he saw all the people seemingly pouring out of their vehicles to congregate on the grassy and gently hilly park. He looked to his right, and he saw the stage that Bob's band, the Tin Guppies, was setting up with their microphones, speakers, and amplifiers. In front of the stage was a podium, which is where Daniel is going to preach his sermon. A little further out is the big tent with tables and chairs, as food was being prepared by Larry's restaurant, Munche's Munchies. Larry had his long red hair tucked under his chef's hat, and his red beard was big and poofy. Daniel brought his organist to play for the wedding march, or just the church service itself. Daniel had on a suit and tie, and he was reviewing his notes and would occasionally glance up to see the people coming into the park by the bushels. Daniel had sent out an open invitation for anyone who wanted to come. He had even invited the media so he could get the publicity as the city mayor. There was a cameraman filming the wedding from a secluded corner so he could capture all of what was going on. Leonard had finally made it over from the public bathrooms, as he had just finished scrubbing his pants and shoes, making them look damp and dark. He was standing in front of the podium facing his father, while Rebecca was in the public bathrooms with Tabitha as she was fussing over her dress, saying, "I knew we should have gotten the other dress. This one is ugly." "It's fine, Mrs. Henderson. In fact, I think it's lovely, don't you?" "No, this will never do." "What do you mean this will never do?" "It's too late to go and return the dress anyway, so it's just going to have to do. The wedding will start any time now." Tabitha started to weep as she was shaking from her nerves and doing her best to adjust the dress, trying to make it look, well, perfect to her anyway. Though somewhere in the back of her mind she knew it never would be. "What's wrong, Mrs. Henderson?" Tabitha stopped fidgeting for a short while, and she looked up to make eye contact with Rebecca and said, "I love you, Becca." "Well, I love you too, Tabby." "Please call me Mom. You're my daughter now." "Okay, Mom. Come on, we gotta hurry. They are already playing the organ music." "Oh, okay," she said, and she was drying her tears. "Let's go then." "Yes, let's go." They both came out of the public restrooms and began to make their way over to the wedding. When they got close to the folding chairs, they broke away from each other. Tabitha found a seat in the front row, and Rebecca started to slowly walk down the aisle between the folding chairs, with her father walking by her side, and then stopped halfway to the podium, when Daniel asked, "Who gives this woman to be joined in holy matrimony?" Rebecca's father spoke up, saying, "I do." Then he sat down next to his wife to watch their daughter get married to Leonard Henderson. Her dress was off-white with embroideries all along the hem of the dress, and it had a somewhat lengthy train that dragged along the grassy ground behind her. Finally, She is now side by side with Leonard, and they are standing in front of Daniel, who is starting the wedding. First, I'd like to thank all of you for coming to my son's and his beautiful bride's wedding. I have known Rebecca Shaw for several months now, since she came to work for me, and she has now warmed her way into our hearts. After the wedding, the reception will be held right here in the park. There will be food catered by Munche's Munchies, over there in the tent, just over the hill over there. If you look over to the stage behind me, to my left, you will notice that there is a stage, and behind and there will be a rock band performing for your entertainment. I hope you all enjoy the 10 Guppies. The crowd was cheering madly as he said the name of the band. There is a dance floor for those of you who like to get down. The crowd was laughing subtly at that. Suddenly, there was a roar as hundreds of motorcycles started to pour in. Since Daniel had sent out an open invitation, it had also included the biker gangs that Daniel seemed to carelessly overlook. The roar of these bikes seemed to catch everybody's attention. Daniel just carelessly looked up and pretended not to notice. One by one, the bikers parked their bikes and dismounted their bikes and made their way to the wedding ceremony. Though the bikers could care less about the wedding, they just knew that the 10 Guppies were playing for the wedding, and that is what they really came to see, especially since the 10 Guppies had the reputation for putting on one hell of a show. Damn bikers, Daniel mumbled, not realizing that he was close to the microphone, as everybody heard him but had no response. Then Daniel opened up his Bible, which had certain verses highlighted and other words seemed to be blocked out with a magic marker and replaced with another word or words, both adding and taking away from the original meaning that the Bible was intended to mean. For example, he opened the Bible to John 1:1, where it says, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God." All Daniel had to do was change one word. So then it read, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God." He did little, hardly noticeable things like that all the way through his Bible. He did a short 20-minute sermon, and surprisingly, the bikers did not disrupt. At least not yet. Daniel could see Old Smoky sitting in one of the front 2 rows, and to Daniel it appeared as though the chairs were empty. And it had also appeared that Old Smoky wouldn't let anyone sit in those chairs either, which really baffled Daniel. Daniel knew better than to question Old Smoky, though. Although his ways are queer to say the least, he always seemed to have some kind of reasoning for his odd behavior, and usually these reasons are actually surprisingly beneficial. So he just let Old Smoky have his way. To Leonard's left was Chris, standing at attention like a loyal soldier, and to Rebecca's right was her maid of honor, Tracy Hill. To Leonard, and unlike his father, Leonard could see Old Smoky's guests, and Old Smoky knew he could see them, which is why he sat them in front. Old Smoky would smile every time Leonard looked back and saw all the victims from the previous killing staring at him and not saying a word. A chill went up Leonard's spine, and he quickly turned around to avoid his sightings, and he faced his father once more. After Rebecca and Leonard were pronounced man and wife, he kissed his bride and turned once again to see the seats that were on the other side of Old Smoky. He saw Daniel Lawson, as well as all of Daniel's friends. He saw Daniel's prosthetic hand resting carelessly on his lap as he was watching him. They were all wearing meat cutters' frocks, and they were wearing chains that carried their knives and steels at their sides, and they were ready to work. They were waiting for Leonard's orders. Though Daniel faced the dead meat cutters, he did not see one of them, though Leonard saw everything. The bikers stood in the back, behind the rest of the guests, waiting patiently until the end of the ceremony. Then they moved closer to the front, over by the stage, as the 10 guppies started their show. The guests were all mingling with each other, going to the tent to eat the wonderful meal served while the lights were flashing up above the stage, and all the band members were starting their rock show. The concert lasted for 2 hours, and it was a great success. The 10 guppies put on an amazing rock show, like they always do. Except halfway through the concert, the Hells Angels and the Sons of Silence started a massive and violent fight, which caused a riot. Bob was playing his beautiful pearl white Ibanez guitar, shredding through his lead guitar riffs. His long black hair cascaded over his shoulders as he noticed the riot that was going on in front of him. He walked up to the microphone after abruptly stopping and said, "All you guys need to calm your tits. We're here to have fun, and you guys are just fucking this gig up, and you're fucking with my high, and that's not cool, man." That's when Daniel walked up to the microphone and declared his reception party over and told everyone to go home. When the riot would not stop, he called in the National Guard and forced the bikers to leave after several people had to go to the hospital that day. Fortunately, nobody was killed, but there were a lot of injuries. Finally, everyone, including the bikers, were gone, and the park was vacant. Trash littered the park, and Daniel and his family were left to clean up the mess. Now, that is the end of chapter 9, and we will start chapter 10, which is entitled The Wall, next. So, like I said, if you like what I read, click like and subscribe. And remember, I got other books out there on Amazon too, so check those out. And thanks for watching. You have a good day now.